Hello, 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 and welcome to Starting the Day the Right Way, Finding Devotion for March 22nd, 2021. All right, let's get right into it. So my little guy is watching one of his favorite shows, the What If series. And so he's like, Dad, come here, watch this episode with me. I said, all right. I said, which one is it? He said, what if spiders were as big as us? I said, I don't think I'd like that, but I watched it. And he's like, but I don't know if I want to watch it. I've watched it before, but every time I'm afraid. I'm like, okay, well, what are you afraid of? He's like, well, I don't want to run into big spiders the size of me. I said, I understand that. And I said that this is the What If series, right? We don't have spiders as big as us. But certainly when they portray it and they get it to a video, and there, certainly been movies made with spiders that are big as or bigger than human beings. And they use all of those flashbacks, it can certainly make it seem real and start to build up a fear, let alone adults, but especially in a 9-year-old, right? A couple of hours before he's ready to go to bed. Anyway, we watched it and we talked about it a little bit afterwards, but God led me to this verse about that tonight. So this was right after Joshua died, Moses. A very famous verse in the Bible is Joshua 1:9. All right. And the Lord says to Joshua, be strong and courageous, right? Don't be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So he was addressing him as he was on the precipice of going into the promised land, right? But there was something I noticed tonight that I never really noticed before. The Lord actually repeated that 3 times in that small section of the Bible. All right. And here it is. Chapter 1, verse 1. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, I've always found that strange as a side note. Moses went up to the top of the mountain. He was told by God that he wasn't going to be able to cross into the promised land. Moses told that to Joshua. Joshua knew it, but it was God's way of saying, all right, the mourning period is over. It's time to move on. Okay, so picking up. Now then, you and all these people, remember there was over 1 million people that were led out of Egypt by Moses. Moses was the first youth pastor or the first pastor, however you want to view it, right? These were brand new, saved, fresh behind the ears, believing in miracles of God, right? Of what they had recently seen. Verse 3 says, I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert to Lebanon, and from the great river, the Euphrates, all the Hittite country to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you or forsake you. So God is prophesying to Joshua. Here it is in verse 6, the first time he says it. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. So God is telling Joshua, this is what you're going to do. This is what's happening in the future. Not that it might, but it's going to. So because this is going to happen, you have to be strong and courageous. All right. Verse 7, be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips, meditate it on day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you'll be prosperous and successful. Verse 9, have I not commanded you for a third time? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. All right. So this is a picture of God just like really speaking into the life of Joshua and really building him up. Because let's face it, this was the first church, really, kind of, right? Leading a whole bunch of people across the desert, leading them into a whole new area to live, whole new farming and whole new skills and building of houses, new communities. What he was doing had never, ever been done, right? And yet God was building up, be strong and be courageous, right? Now, there's only a couple of the times where events like this, where words were said three times, right? So if we look forward into the New Testament, we have Peter denying Jesus three times, right? And what happened? Jesus said to Peter that you're going to deny me three times on the night of his Last Supper with him, right? But then what happened? After Jesus rose from the dead, he came back, right, and walked the earth for a few more weeks. And in John 21, what ends up happening? Jesus ends up asking Peter, how many times? Three times. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? All right. Now, there's a couple of different theories on that, why Jesus did that specifically. One specific one is that he was restoring Peter, right? That in the one aspect that his three denials made him obviously feel terrible, not terrible enough to commit suicide as Judas did, but he was feeling terrible about himself. And Jesus redoing this and saying it three times restored him, okay? And was in fact speaking into his life what he was going to be doing, helping to build the church and helping to be strong and just building him up and wiping out those bad memories, so to speak, and that there was forgiveness there. Okay, so I think that's a great comparison of the Old Testament and New Testament and the importance of it. All right, so dig into this, right? If you've gone through something the last year, like we all have, some of us have experienced much worse tragedy than others. Okay, but God is still talking to us in the midst of uncertainty. He's telling us to be strong and courageous. Okay, he knows he's the one who holds time in his hands. He's the one who knows the future. Okay, look towards him. Don't look towards the circumstance. All right, hope this was a blessing. Dig into this. God bless.